What is going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo. I am here at PAX in Boston, Massachusetts. I wanted to address the pricing next-gen video that I put up yesterday. I knew it was a tricky subject. I really didn't know if I should post the video. I had a couple of my YouTube friends say, don't post that video, but I wanted to because I thought it was a valuable discussion and kind of a worthwhile thing to talk about. Now, maybe I didn't phrase it the best way possible to convey the point I was trying to make, so let me redo that here. The video kind of turned into a shitstorm of a bunch of negativity and saying like, oh, GhostRobo, you're jaded, you're out of touch with your fans, you're some spoiled rich boy, and I just want to assuage all those fears and get rid of them and tell you what I really meant with that video. So first of all, I'm not some spoiled rich wealthy kid. My parents were never really that into video games or didn't think they were that good, so ever since I was about 10 years old, I've had to purchase every video game myself. So I would mow extra lawns, I would try to sell things on eBay, I'd do any little side jobs I could do to make enough money to buy games. So I know where the majority of you are coming from. I was there. I'm only 23, I'm very young, I don't have a college education, so I'm not like, my parents don't really buy me games, and they haven't for the last 13 or 14 years, so I know where you're coming from. I understand that games cost a lot, and it's tricky and tough to get them. Like, that's hard, and I understand that nowadays it's a little bit easier because there's so many sales and used games and stuff like that, so I feel you on that. Like, I'm totally on board with that. And of course, my personal preference would be that games are cheaper, because it's my money too, it's your money, great. If they were cheaper, they were. What I was trying to make the point of is that I think games will be more expensive, so I was trying to point out the reasons why why that's a good thing, why there's positives to that, why there's benefits, and why it's not as scary as some people make it out to be. Most people hear $70 and like, oh my god, and I know it's a lot, because I know $60 is a lot. I know it's very tricky to throw down that much money, especially when there's big game releases every other week, or every week some weeks, or two even in some busy months. And so I get that. I get that feeling completely. And all I was trying to say was that if games are going to go up in price, which I think that they will, that there's some benefits. One being that it would potentially give developers more ability to take risks. Now, you can say, oh, they already make too much money, oh, they already charge too much for games, but I'm mostly referring to the games I love and to the good games and wanting those to get better and wanting there to be more of those. I'm not talking about Aliens, Colonial Marines. I'm not talking about Walking Dead, Survival Instinct. You know, I did mention in the video that I think it's partially and mostly probably on you, the consumer, to decide where you want to drop your $60 or your $40 or your $15 it's downloadable game or whatever. There are so many resources, from reviews to previews to videos to podcasts, for you to find out a little bit or a lot about a specific game and know, is this game going to be really short? Is this game going to be really crappy? Is this game going to have RPG elements? Is it going to have multiplayer? And if it doesn't meet up with your criteria of what is worth $60, then you shouldn't buy it. And I don't think that's as much the developer's fault to say, oh god, I buy all these games and they rip me off. You chose to purchase it. I mean, if you're walked to the store with a gun to your head or brass knuckles to your back and they're like, buy this Aliens game, then I guess we have a different story. But for the most part, you probably picked that game. And I know people get excited about games and then are disappointed. But that's not really the fault of the developer or the fault of the publisher, unless they're specifically saying, Aliens is a 20-hour game with RPG elements and great multiplayer and it has graphics from the PlayStation 4, and then you buy it and, it's 4 hours and it has no multiplayer, then that's an issue. But if you just think a game looks good, and then it turns out to be crappy, well, that's kind of your responsibility as a consumer to research and figure out what game is best for you. Just like if you're going to go buy a TV, or you're going to go buy a bike, or you're going to go buy a car, or you're going to go buy anything, you know, you do a little bit of research to figure out what is going to best suit you, what is going to best fit you. So in terms of developers ripping you off and charging more would rip you off more, all you gotta do is investigate the games a little bit. And of course, you know, I do my best to play the games and tell you about them, give you my honest opinion. I'm not going to go out there and say Walking Dead Survival Instinct is great and it's so much fun when it's not. Because I want you to feel like you used your money in a good way. I understand it's a lot of money. Trust me. Like I'm saying, I am the person who was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, only able to buy a game every couple months and really having to read through my Nintendo Powers and read through my Game Informers and read through my EGMs, and when the internet came, go online and try to figure out which game I want. I literally spent hours deciding which game I was going to get. You can ask anyone in my family. I would sit there and read. I'd print off reviews and try to decide. It was a tough process, and I understand it's that way for you too. So I'm in no way like, oh god, I hope it costs more so that no one can get them. I'm not looking for this to be some exclusive industry of only the rich and famous. I don't want that at all. I don't think that's good at all. Yes, if there was a way to make games $40 and still keep studios super successful, still keep them innovating and trying new ideas, boom, I'm all about that. I'm all for that. But I don't think that's possible, especially because development costs continue to rise. there was a news story yesterday that said Bioshock Infinite is potentially the most expensive game of all time. $100 million to make and $100 million in marketing. And you can say, well, that's stupid, and they shouldn't spend that much, and that's their choice and their fault, and blah, blah, blah. But that's the way things are going. If you want to get a game to be successful, if you want to get a game out there to the masses and promote it to hell and back and sell a boatload of copies in order to justify spending that much money on your production, then an increase in price potentially could make those risks easier to take. So instead of making Call of Duty exclusively, maybe they take a chance on something a little bit of variety. You know, and you can say, well, I'm not paying for a game until they take those chances. But this is a money-driven business, and all I was trying to say is that accepting the fact that it's a money-driven business, they are going to do, publishers, developers are going to do what they need to do to make money. And if games cost a little bit more, maybe, potentially, maybe, they would have a chance to take more risks knowing, hey, we're going to get an extra, whatever it is, an extra 18% or 17% or 16% or whatever the increase is. I'm not doing math right now. They could get that and have more room to take risks. Okay, and again, when we went from the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era, when games were $50, they increased to $60, and so that's something to keep that in mind when you say that. When some people say, oh, if they increase the price to $70, that will destroy the industry and less people will game, I don't really think so. Because when they increase from 50 to 60, this generation has blossomed the industry and really started reaching areas and demographics and groups of people that it never reached before. And yes, it's an expensive hobby, and yes, it's a pricey thing to invest $60 or $70 into a game. But there's some good news, which is that games are, I think, on an upswing. You know, we're getting quality titles more and more often than I feel ever before this generation. And it'll be interesting to see with the new consoles if they take a dip in quality again as they try to figure out how to program for these beasts. But the other good news is that these consoles will be cheaper than the past consoles. You know, when Xbox 360 launched and PlayStation 3 launched, the PS4 and the 720 are going to be cheaper than that, both in actual dollars and in inflated dollars. And you have to remember inflation. You have to remember that things are constantly increasing in price, and so it's only a matter of time before games have to raise price, just like everything else. Food raises price, gas raises price, everything around you raises price. And you can argue why or why not. I'm not getting into the politics or the economics of it. All I'm saying is that, inevitably, whether it's 2013 or 2015 or 2017, games will go up to $70. And I was just trying to point out some of the good things. Of course, I'm with you. I want the most bang for my buck. I want the greatest product I can get for my money. I want to have every game that I drop that full price on be a winner. And that takes a couple things. One, that takes publishers and developers being willing to take risks, and a little bit of extra money might help that. It takes research and some patience on your part to figure out, you know, as a consumer, okay, what do I want to buy? Is Aliens really worth my money? Maybe I should wait a day and check out some videos on YouTube. Maybe I should see what some of my favorite YouTubers think. Maybe I should read my favorite review site and find out if that game is for you. Because to go out and buy Aliens and say, gosh darn, this game sucks and I'm so disappointed they ripped me off. I mean, maybe in some weird world where games were like the price that they charged was based on the review score they got, maybe that would make sense, but it's not. It's never going to be that way. It's not going to be like, well, our game is kind of crappy, so we're charging $24.99. That's not going to happen. Games will be a MSRP across the board, unless it's like, you know, Chin Chow's minigame collection for babies, and then maybe they'll charge $39.99. But if it's a normal AAA type game, they're going to charge $60. And so, whether it's good or not, yeah, that sucks if it's not a good game. But it's a little bit up to you to figure out if it's a good game or not, and maybe rent it first, or maybe, I don't know, wait for it to go down in price. Games get cheaper so fast. That's another thing, and that's good news that I think will continue. You know, you can pretty much find a new release a couple weeks after release for $40 now. And so even if it goes up to $70, I'm sure you'll still be able to find things for $40, $45, $50 if you wait. There's always services like GameFly. There's always demos. You can test these things out. But I just want to make this video clear out that I am on your side. I'm not saying like, oh, raise the price because that's good. That I'm not made of money. I never have had games thrown at me and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't trying to make a selfish point in any way. I was actually just trying to comment on something that, hey, most people are saying games are going to go up to $70. Here's what I think about that. Here's what I think it's kind of a good idea. And I'm glad that you guys engaged. I'm glad that most people were willing to take the time to write their thoughts in the comments. That was really cool. Really appreciate those of you who took your time to express your opinions. Now, those of you who just said, F off, I'm unsubscribing, I don't really understand that because it's just my opinion. Like, I don't benefit in any way from any company charging $4 or $400 at all. I mean, I benefit from them charging less because then that would save me money. So really, like, my interests are your interests. cheaper games are better for me. But all I was trying to say is, as someone who loves the industry and thinking from a broad spectrum, not just like for me or for you or for my little brother Noah, who's 11 years old and doesn't even get allowance, like, what would be the best for that person? No, I was thinking broad stroke, like for the industry to grow, to expand, to create the best games possible, to have a freaking Walking Dead from Telltale, not Survival Instinct, dear God, a Bioshock Infinite, a Tomb Raider, a really great game, from every studio. How awesome that would be. That potentially, that means maybe, the extra money that they get from the software sales would encourage them to take more risks. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe they would just money bag it and put it in their back pockets and walk away like Scrooge McDuck. I don't know. But it was just, my theory is that maybe if there was an extra $10 per copy, they would be willing to take risks. Because budgets are going to go up. As the increased cost of development rises, obviously their margins are going to get smaller if they don't increase the price of games. That's why they've gone up all throughout the years. And again, it is factual to note that with inflation, the $60 price point is cheaper for games than it was when it was $50, 10 years ago. And like I said, when I bought Pokemon Stadium for $70 in 1999, that was a lot of money. And if you take that $70.99 to now, I don't know what it is. I'm not even going to state a potential possibility because I don't want to create controversy, but it is more for sure than $70 now, and definitely more for sure than $60 now. So that's just my thoughts. I want to clear it up with you guys. Let's take a deep breath. Hopefully this makes more sense. Hopefully you see where I'm coming from a little bit better. Again, I'd love to hear your comments. Let me know in the comments below. I love all of you guys very much, and like I said, I'm with you. I'm a gamer first, YouTuber second. Really, I want to enjoy the game before I even post a video. Some games I'm very tempted to just play through myself without even recording so I can have the best experience possible, but I want to share it with you so you can make those good purchasing decisions, so you can enjoy it if it's too expensive for you, and so we can all have fun together. That's my main mission. Smiles and fun for everybody. Seriously, that's what I'm all about. So I gotta go to PAX, gonna go check out some new games and let you guys know about them soon. Till that time, though, have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and until next time, guys and girls, we'll see you all later.